if you didn't sign in, please sign in so I have everyone's contact information. And we have 2 new people who just joined us, so I want them to have a chance to introduce themselves, and then we'll get right into the garden. So.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Julie Kelly. I work for the City of Fall River, and I work for a program called Mass in Motion. And the idea there is to get people out moving because we're all living longer, so we want to stay independent, we want to stay physically fit. So that's what my position is with the city, and working with Eric and Brian and the others here.
I've been working with Mass in Motion for about the past year. So through the first was the Healthy Aging Grant, and then now through the 5 to 15 minute walk grant, and also as part of this. So I grew up and live in the Flint, so it's nice to see that the Flint is getting something like this to, really boost the green aspect of the neighborhood. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for coming. So I want to give you a little bit of an introduction to the vision for the garden. We don't really have anything set in stone for the design. So I want all of you to help me to work through what we want to plant. What do you think that we should be planting? But the vision for the garden is to have a mostly perennial edible landscape garden. So this is a few fruit trees, a few berry bushes, some perennial vegetables, so things like asparagus is an example, rhubarb is an example of perennial vegetables. They come back every year. We don't have to keep replanting them. And then maybe a few herbs and maybe a few other types of vegetables that people have specific interest in. So that's kind of the overall vision, is this edible landscape, and the place that it's going to be going is over on this side of the building here, where there's that kind of open, when you come into the parking lot.
Oh, over here?
Yeah, on this area, there's a big open area at the
Yeah.
back of the building.
Oh,
Before it goes
the
down
downtown,
the hill.
The side back, like the, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
so
a
you know where
toward-
that big hill is?
Yeah.
So on
we're
top of the
back.
hill.
Oh, okay,
On
so
top of
over
that
here.
hill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
in front of the
Oh,
park.
the back.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're going to be doing a strip that's about maybe 20 to 30 feet long and about 10 or 15 feet wide. So
Okay.
it's like enough room for probably 3 to 4 small fruit trees, a good number of berries, and then interspersed in there some smaller plants as a starting idea. If it's successful, then we can branch out and we can do the same thing with other areas. But this project is going to be relatively small, relatively manageable. We want to keep it at the right scale for our
Is it
first
just
time.
for this building, or is it for the neighborhood?
So that's something I think is a good point to discuss. So that
Yeah, that's what we were all wondering, because
that would be what should we design. So instead of kind of doing a question and answer right now, I would like instead to do a brainstorming session where you can kind of write down all your thoughts and get everything down on a piece of paper. And so I've created these little brainstorming sheets where you can write about maybe the types of fruit trees you can imagine, the types of berries you would want to see, the types of vegetables, and then you can use the other side of this for your questions or your comments or other things. So you can hand those down. And I do have some of these catalogs, so you can take a look in some of these catalogs to see some ideas. So I'll put some at your table here.
Okay.
I think it's part of spaghetti sauce.
Tomatoes.
I used to freeze those.
Okay.
Okay, so you can, I'll collect you can keep them for now. At the end of the meeting, I'm going to collect these so that I can use these to help me to put together the design.
Okay.
So is there anything that came up for anybody that you feel really strongly and excited about that you wanted to share in particular?
Yeah, we're having a garden.
Oh yes, herbs. That's a great idea. So
It said that on the
Yeah, I
paper,
did
but
that.
I forgot.
we can just you can make your own section for herbs. That's a great.
Yeah, you should put that on there, Bev.
I did
All right, so let's come back together again. You can keep writing on these as we go through our meeting. But let's come back together again, everybody at this table. I just wanted to go through a couple of kind of logistics of how we're going to design this garden collaboratively. So what you did right now is you thought about the details of the garden, of what you really want to be eating, which is a good place to start. But we can also start at another place, and that's called the larger patterns of the garden. So one of the principles that I wrote down on our board is pattern to details. We need to figure out how are people going to get access to the garden? We have already figured out water and sun, so we don't need to figure out those things. But those are a big, large-scale pattern that we need. If we want to grow these vegetables and fruit, we need water and we need sunlight. So those are taken care of.
Yeah.
We need people to have access to the garden. We need to know who is going to have access. That came up already to the garden. We need to think about these kind of bigger picture patterns. So did anyone have questions about kind of patterns of the garden? Let's start there.
Well, I know that they should be wide enough because there's like some people that have like wheelchairs but like to use the
Disabilities,
garden,
yeah.
so it would,
Yeah.
The wheelchairs won't go through the dirt. Yeah, you'd have to
well,
have
I mean,
sidewalks.
it won't be all dirt. I mean, they'll be gravel like where the people can go.
I think that,
Go down like a wheelchair. That means,
I think if we went, if people asked if that they needed something from their garden, people
Yeah.
like us could go out and get it for them.
we could
I don't think
pick
they would
it
have to
like
worry
on a
about
weekly
that.
basis
We all
and bring
help
it
each
in
other.
here and distribute it like we do,
Yeah,
brown bags,
yeah,
you
we
know?
could do that.
Because we have a lot of disabled people, and I don't know that the city's gonna wanna be building sidewalks all over the place, but, we could certainly,
It may be a possibility in the future. So this year, I don't think it's within the scope of the project, but certainly within the next year, if we could get funding to put in a paved path and put in an accessible garden bed, then that would be a
Is Fall
possibility.
River Housing paying for any of this stuff?
So the money is coming from a grant, is that correct? So 2 grants.
But with support and in-kind help from the housing authority.
Yes.
So care, you know, they'll help with care.
I think it should be.
Help with digging it up.
Sorry.
They'll
I
be
def-
digging it up and that?
Yeah.
I definitely think it should be a raised garden.
Raised garden, so.
Absolutely. Actually,
Raised up, so you're not bending, you
Yeah,
know?
you
that-
Yeah,
old
there's a lot of
people,
people that are not able.
at Bishop Eade, my friend put in a garden. She fought for it, she got it, she planted it, she weeds it. She even has a camera so the neighbors won't steal it, she bought it herself. And she brings them in and distributes the vegetables. Now, we have a huge problem with neighborhood kids being vandals, etc. We've discussed it, and I know we'd like a fence, if possible. So less accessible makes us happy. We're more than willing to do the work to bring it in and have people come down and get
Yeah,
the
I
stuff.
bring it in every
school
day.
People that
They-
should have it.
There's
They
a
can come
school
down and
down
get
the
it.
bottom of the road and the kids come up here and they cut through everything
Yeah.
and swing on the pipes.
They push the
They
old people
push-
out of the
well,
way.
clearly-
And
They
we don't want to
clearly-
encourage them to come in anymore.
Well, clearly, they need a garden down there, so they
Well,
have.
they have a garden at the
Oh, but they
school.
wanna, you know,
There's a
jump
garden
on
at
the
the school over
benches
there.
and do twirlies on the pipes over here and.
We
So-
also have a problem with neighborhood dogs coming in the yard.
Yeah, and they don't pick up, and we don't want them to be
Right.
able to get at our vegetables. Those of us who live here, except one guy, wouldn't do that, and we all pick up.
Oh, I wonder what that is.
So
Yeah.
we will certainly look into the.
Some
the
kind of
type
fencing, it doesn't have to be,
Right.
but
and we'll
certainly
work-
to keep the dogs out.
We can work with the housing authority and see what their capability is to help us with that part of the project, but I do see that being really important as far as keeping
Yeah, there's a
the
lot
access.
of kids in this neighborhood and like I
There's
said,
schools that might be able to build, if you could get them involved, because they were
That
going.
school over there has one, there's a community
Why-
garden over
Yeah,
there.
I'm talking about older kids that could build like
Diamond.
boxes that are raised.
From
You know,
railroad
a
ties.
little- So that
Yeah.
if you go out there with a little footstool, you can sit on it and garden
Right.
a lot easier. There's not that many people who can just bend over
Real
and
down,
garden
yeah.
by the hour,
So
you know.
we would want the beds to be as high as possible.
Yes.
So even the height of this table would be.
Fine,
Yeah, 'cause
yeah.
I was thinking we could have like a fence, you know, with a lock on it, but like keep the garden open during the daytime, that way the people are always around, they can see what's going on. But at night, like, you know, when it starts getting dusk, like have somebody go out there and lock it.
We'll put Bev in charge of that.
Okay.
Bev gets rid of them when they come.
Yeah, I'm the one
But
that's
not-
always yelling
Not
at
many
them.
people even.
Yeah.
But are there any other
And my own
concerns
little
with
plot.
access?
but there were so many
how people are moving in
around,
and
so
out, who's
there was
moving in and out. We
no
covered
way I
most
could
of it.
feed everybody out of the
Other points on
garden,
that?
so I only had like a
So,
3x4.
so what we covered is that we think
So,
we can take care of
but
our
this is
own
great, 'cause now I can't do
disabled people.
veggies.
We're
My
more than
sister
willing
lives
to
in
do it.
She grows everything.
Certainly
To harvest.
until
Yeah.
there's, yeah.
Okay.
And have a
Oh,
day
yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
a
Let's
week
make
or
a salad,
something.
fresh.
Well, or if stuff's
Nothing
ready,
like that.
you know.
Yes, it is. It's
The
something to
raised,
do.
I wrote
so,
down the raised
yeah.
garden beds, the fencing, and the cameras. It's that, yes, it's that area right there.
Oh, yeah, right on the
So
side,
just
we
go
thought
straight
even
that
on
way.
here, we can point this.
If you look out this window, it's that area straight this way. That's that nice flat area. Move on to the next section, which is design ideas. And we had a few.
We can't put cameras, can we get drones that'll be?
Yeah, we'll get a drone.
Watching our garden.
Hey, that's a good idea.
The drones would be blown to, you know.
Writing down
Yeah,
drones.
yeah.
Cameras.
Watching the garden.
Generally, the plants come in April, and that could mean middle to end of April, the way that it
Yeah,
looks
it
now with the
depends on the
snow and
weather.
everything. So they usually give me a week, like they're going to be shipped this week, and then I know the plants are going to be coming in that week. So I would then organize volunteers and all of you to get together to have a planting day when the plants come
That
in.
seems awfully early for,
They're
No,
They're
usually
dorm-
the end of April.
That's
Yeah.
for fruit trees, berries, and perennials.
Yes.
That's when they're still dormant, and you want to get them in the ground when they haven't
Oh,
quite
yeah,
opened
not the
up yet.
vegetables.
Not the
Yeah,
vegetables,
yeah.
exactly. So for things like the tomato, if you decide you want to do tomatoes, those are going to go in much
Yeah,
later.
later.
So we would
we definitely need lots of tomatoes.
definitely.
Now, there won't, this is just vegetables and trees and herbs and stuff, there won't be any flowers or...
I would love to see some flowers in there as well.
Because I
think
know
that's
there's
what I was
certain
saying
flowers
before.
like marigolds and stuff that they usually
Flowers,
plant with vegetables.
sunflowers.
it's
They
important.
keep like the
That's on
bugs
my
away.
list.
Yeah, let's have a balanced
Oh, I like
ecosystem
this.
so that we have all those things included in there.
Natalie says some
But sunflowers,
So
it's also
Oh,
seeds
is-
I just-
and